Okay, hi 7th grade math. This is Mrs. Setter. Hope you guys are doing well. Okay, today you're going to be working in packet number 1. Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way. So yes, packet number 1, we're going to be multiplying whole numbers and dividing whole numbers. Now this is a review, and it's going to be very good practice for you as we get farther into our book this year. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is to take a minute and to look over the steps for multiplying whole numbers. Now, if you notice, I have multiple digit numbers. My problem is 3,481 times or multiply by 142. So what I'd like you to do is to rewrite the numbers up and down like this because you're going to have to do some regrouping. So I'm going to have you guys pause the video for just a moment, and I'd like you to take a minute to walk through these steps. And then when you come back, I am going to do an example of multiplying whole numbers, and we're going to be doing your first problem in your packet, which is on the next page on page 2. So please pause the video for a moment. Okay, we're back. We're going to be working on the next page. It's page 2. It says page 2 at the bottom. We're going to do an example for the first one. Now this is kind of an easy one because it's a 3-digit by a 1-digit. But if you notice some of these other ones, it's going to get a little bit more complicated. And I know they didn't give you a whole lot of room to work out the problem underneath, especially like on these. I can see that you might need a little bit more room. So if you do need a little bit more room, please do that on an extra piece of paper, scratch paper, and make sure you show your work. So if you're working number 7 on an extra piece of paper, please write number 7 and write the problem for me so that I can be able to see the work that you've done. No calculators are to be used on this. Okay, so your first problem is 238 times 5. Again, I would like you to rewrite the problem down here, and I'm going to be doing it on a whiteboard so that I make sure I have plenty of room. So 238 times 5. Notice I'm trying to keep my numbers lined up nice and neat. It's real important to keep your numbers lined up so that you know what you are multiplying by. So I'm always going to start in my ones place. So if you notice, I've got hundreds, tens, ones, and the 5 is just simply ones. Let's multiply 8 times 5 for a total of 40. Now remember, you're going to have to regroup because this 4 does not go down here. It needs to go right up top here because there's no room for it to fit down here. So I did 5 times 8 equals 40. Now I'm going to do 5 times 3 equals 15 plus 4 for a total of 19. Again, you're going to have to regroup. That 1 is going to have to go on top of the number in the hundreds place. Multiply again, this time your 5 by the number in the hundreds place. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 more is 11. Your final product or answer is 1,190. Okay, it's up to you if you want to pause the video now and continue working on the multiplication problems all the way to 8, or you can just wait and continue. We're going to go over the dividing of whole numbers, and then you can just do the whole page later on if you'd rather do that. So it's totally up to you. Okay, again, if you want to pause, you can. If not, let's keep going. Please take a moment to go back to that front page again and check out the steps for dividing whole numbers. Now, some of these answers are going to have remainders, but not all of them. Notice they've rewritten the problem here. This first number here, 6,425, that is your divisor. That is the number that goes inside the little house or the little half a box here. 21 is your divisor. That number goes on the outside of the house. So you're trying to do 6,425 divided by 21. So take a minute to look at the steps that they've done here. You may want to pause the video so that you can look at all these steps. There's a whole bunch of steps. They're showing you 7 steps here. I do want to warn you that if your remainder is ever larger than your divisor or your number outside of the house, you made a mistake. Your remainder always has to be smaller than your divisor. When you're ready to come back, let's go ahead and look at your next problem for division. Here's my problem right here, 872 divided by 2. I'm going to set up the problem separately. Again, you may need some scratch paper, especially with some of these numbers that are bigger. You're going to have a hard time fitting all your work into here. And remember, I need to see your work. No calculators, please. I'm going to rewrite my problem. 876 divided by 2. Remember, that first number goes inside my house. I'm going to start right here with these first two numbers. 2 times something gets me close to 8, or even at 8, but I can't go over 8. So I can't do 2 times 6 because 2 times 6 is 12. 12 is larger than 8, so you can't do that. You want to get as close to or at 8 as possible. So 2 times 4, your 4 goes up top. And now we're going to work backwards. 4 times 2 is 8. So I did my division and my multiplication. My next step is subtraction. Again, notice, just like with multiplication, I'm trying to keep my numbers lined up nice and straight. I know some of you guys work real fast and your work can look a little bit sloppy, and that's where you might be able to, you might be making errors. So you want to make sure that you're working neatly. 8 times 8 is, 8 minus 8 is 0. My next step is to bring down one number at a time. So this 7, I'm going to bring all the way down here so that it's right next to my 0. I am no longer looking at 876. I'm only looking at 7 and my divisor 2. 2 times what gets you close to 7, but you cannot go over 7. So think of all your multiples of 2. When I say multiples of 2, I mean 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You're skip counting by 2s. So 2 times 3 is going to get me as close to 7 as I can go. I can't use 4 because 2 times 4 is 8. That's too big. So it's got to be 3. 3 times 2, we're working backwards, is 6. Subtract. 7 take away 6 is 1. My next step is to bring down the next number one at a time. Bring that 6 down. And just like before when we were just looking at the 7, now we're just looking at the 16. 2 times what gets me close to or at 16, but I can't go over. Again, think of your multiples of 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, and the closest that I can get is 2 times 8, work backwards, 8 times 2 is 16. Subtract, notice the steps just keep repeating, so once you get the steps down, you shouldn't have a problem with it. I don't have any remainders. I don't have any more numbers to bring down, so my answer or my quotient is simply 438. Again, notice how I put the 4 directly over the 8, the 3 directly over the 7, the 8 directly over the 6. It's real important that you keep your work lined up nice and neat. That's why I'm really highly advising you to please use a piece of scratch paper. Okay, so that's going to be your assignment for today. You're going to finish page 2. You do have a couple word problems at the bottom, so make sure you take a look at those. Pay attention to those. As we've talked about in the parent letter that went home, there's a couple of different ways that you guys can turn this into me because I would like to try to be grading as we go. I don't want to wait and grade everything, in 2 weeks. So what I'd like you to do, probably the easiest thing to do is to take a picture of your work. So you would take a picture of this page right here. I would not need a picture of this page, okay, because that's just showing you how to do it. But I would need a picture of this page. And if you have a scratch paper, I would need a picture of that as well because I'm going to be checking your steps. And have mom or dad send it to me on the Remind app. Again, that's probably the easiest. If not, you can also take your papers, and I don't know how many people have scanners or printers at home, but you can scan it and email it to me at ksetter@sbdiocese.org. You could do that as well if you have a scanner available. Or you can have mom or dad drop it by during my office hours, which are going to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock. So you're welcome to do that too. If none of those options work for you, then we'll just have you submit it when you come back to school. But again, I kind of want to try to get these grades in as we go so that we make sure we stay on top of it. Okay, so this is pretty much the format what we're going to do every day. So please make sure you watch the video prior to doing the work. No calculators, and make sure that I see all your steps and all your work so that I can give you credit for that. All right, you guys have a great day and take care. Talk to you soon. Bye.